Anita, how's your mental health?
Questionable at all times. You know this.
Yeah, how's the mental health of your children?
Also a little bit tricky. Can I tell you my experience in trying to find therapists for myself and my kids, Mel?
Yes, please.
Okay, this is how it goes. You ask around your friends and your family for a referral for somebody who's nearby. You finally find somebody who sounds like they might work for your family. You give them a call and you find out that A, they're not accepting new patients, or B, they have a huge wait list. So you start over again and you ask people if they know anybody who would be a good therapist and a good fit. Finally, you find one, you go and you meet with them and you figure out that you don't actually like them that much. But it's been so much work to find somebody who you can go to in your area that you're kind of stuck with them. Well, do you have any ideas for how to get around this?
I do, because guess what? I've actually had some therapists that I have found on my own, which involves what you're saying. Sometimes I remember one time I was like 3 hours in the bathtub on my phone looking through websites. I was such a prune at the end. But I have also had the experience with working with BetterHelp. And it was like, I don't want to say too good to be true, but because it is true, but it's like amazing because I was matched with my therapist within 24 hours.
And you didn't have to go through all of that other ridiculous process of trying to find somebody. And here's the cool thing too, is if that person didn't work out for you, you can just switch and say, and it's not like you're committing to another years long search for somebody who you're going to jive with.
It's true. And I lucked out, or maybe just BetterHelp is really good at matching people together because I never had to change my therapist. I loved her. Perfect fit for me. And I know that some of our friends have used BetterHelp and they've had to change therapists, and boom, same day, you can change.
Easy peasy.
You can ghost your therapist. Get a new one.
I love this idea. BetterHelp is one of our sponsors. If you use our promo code trybetterhelp.com/WWDN, you get 10% off your first month. And we totally recommend it.
Yes. Get some therapy. That's trybetterhelp.com/WWDN.
Well, hello there, Mel.
What are you surrounded by right now?
Ooh, I got some pinto beans. I got some white beans. I got some black beans. I got some Chef Boyardee raviolis. I got some Ritz crackers. I'm in my food storage type room because I'm hiding from my kids in this room. So that's where I am. I got some toilet paper.
What? Toilet paper? Do you have Clorox wipes?
No. Those are impossible to still find.
Are they?
But I've got 1,000 paper plates because when Jason died, people brought me paper plates, like massive amounts. So I still have them. And that's also why I have Chef Boyardee ravioli, because I don't think any of my kids will even eat that.
I'll eat it.
No, you won't. It's not keto, man.
Okay, I would have eaten it in my past life.
Okay. What's your present life doing?
My present life?
Yeah.
Let's see. Actually, it's been pretty busy because one of my music camps that I usually music direct at is this week. However, it's been moved to online. So we have a lot of stuff going on. So I'm pretty busy. That's what I'm doing. And I have the puppy, and the puppy's doing great. And my mom made her a little shirt because she has a white body, so she gets sunburned easily. So she has a little tank top. Yeah. White dogs can
They get sunburned through their hair?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I did not know that. I had a dream last night about your house.
Tell me.
I'm just remembering it. It was like the backyards, your neighbor to the east and your neighbor to the west, there was no fences in between, and so it was like this big giant backyard, and there was all these dogs running around.
That's my dream.
There was two dogs that you didn't want to be in there. I don't know who they belong to. I also had a crazy dream about my aunt last night.
So your brain's kind of rolling around doing a bunch of things.
My brain is, yeah.
Let's talk about you then. What's happening? Are you traumatized this week? I know I ruined your life one of the days. I'm sorry.
You totally ruined my life. You didn't ruin my life. You just made it less fun. We were going to go rollerblading, and then you're like, I have this meeting. It's going to get done. And then you're like, actually, my meeting's never getting done because they won't stop talking.
And that's what happened.
Stupid.
And then
Was that an actual transcript?
yeah.
Actual transcript events, or was that a reenactment? Realistic reenactment made for TV.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that wasn't the bad part of the day. I mean, that sucked. But then it was later when there was like couples things going on, and I was like, oh, where's my couple?
That's the worst. I have a hard time with that. It's hard for me to
worst.
be around families, like whole families, for longer than 30 minutes because I feel so out of place.
But then it's also bad because they're not doing anything wrong.
Right.
You know, it's not like I expect them to change their behavior and never go on a date with their husband, you know, or be like, we should invite Anita every time we go on a date. It just highlights where you are. So it's not anything anybody else can do anything about, if that makes sense.
It just is what it is.
It just is. Yeah. And so I came home and ate like leftovers instead of going on a date with my spouse.
Guess what,
Dumb.
though?
What?
I am now your spouse, sort of, in a weird widow way. Where
in a very non-legal way,
yes,
but
and
whatever.
we hardly see each other in person. But that's beside the point. I got us...
Are we estranged?
No, because we have Zoom dates.
Okay.
But guess what?
Good. What?
I got us a present. I got us some cheese. So I'm sorry you had a crappy coupley, non-coupley time. I have a present for you. But you have to share it with me because I want to try the cheese too.
Okay. That sounds like a good plan. Cheese makes all sorrows feel better, except for Mel.
What?
Oh, the second worst thing has happened. Actually, the third worst thing, because I think spouse dying, cancer, those might be top two. But we found out my daughter is lactose intolerant.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So no cheese for her, and everything that I cook, which I don't even make food for my kids anymore. I have just like stopped taking care of my children. Everything that I do make or buy seems to have dairy in it. Sucks. She's like, oh, I guess I can't eat that, and I can't eat that, and I can't eat that. And I'm like, here's a carrot.
And she's like, but I don't like that. I need better snacks. Yeah. This is reminding me of that because you and I actually did do something this week. We went swimming.
Oh, yeah, that was this week.
Thanks, Brittany.
Yeah, that was fun.
And that's when we found out that so many snacks have cheese in them, like Pringles, because you got a lot of snacks, but she couldn't have any of them. But we had a fun time, right?
Yeah, even though she was like, I'm so hungry. And then on the way home, oh my gosh, I just blew snot out of my nose because I was laughing. There were like 1,000 restaurants and my kids were so hungry. And you know where we went? McDonald's.
Yes.
Of all the places in the world. Because it was the easiest right-hand turn to make. Oh.
You know what?
Good old McDonald's.
Speaking of McDonald's, I think you need to watch the McMillions documentary because it's about the Monopoly game and the whole scandal that went along with it. It's amazing.
I watched that weird bear show that you told me to watch about. What was it called?
Grizzly Man.
Grizzly Man?
Yeah. Have any of you watched Grizzly Man? It's bizarre.
There were some definite wonderful parts, but then it was kind of sad because he did get eaten by the bear. And actually, I felt bad for his girlfriend because she didn't even like bears, and she got eaten by a bear too.
Okay, yeah, that's true. The rest of it's pretty interesting, though. So if any of you need something very strange to watch that. You do not see them get eaten. It's all the other stuff because the guy documented his time in the Alaskan wilderness.
With the bears.
And he is quite a colorful character, if I may say so myself. That's why I recommended it to you.
Yeah. It was nuts.
Lots of one-liners.
We've had several people join the Widow Wives Club in the last couple of weeks. Just a little reminder that they need to answer the questions. So we've run into a little issue, and that is when you invite somebody to the Widow Wives Club, for some reason it bypasses the questions, and we really want people to answer the questions. So instead of inviting people...
Anita, I think they can share the group in a message, and that way the potential widow wife person can click on it, and then that will get them to the questions.
Okay, perfect. Because we are not approving people if they don't answer the questions. And we want people to be in our group. We just want to make sure that they understand some of the, the ground rules for the group.
Yeah.
So.
And we've gotten quite a few people that have become members and so many fun people. I'm excited.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm bummed out that everyone's dead, but I'm also glad that we have the dead people's people. So thank you for joining.
The dead. Thanks for the dead people's people. And they're like from all over the place, which I think is really fun.
Yeah. And thank you to our listeners who gave us a rating and wrote a review. We've gotten a few of those, so that means a lot to us. Thank you so very much.
And keep it up.
Keep it up. And then
do more.
Please share the podcast with your friends, even if they're not widows. Maybe they can learn something, like how things are for you.
Perfect. Okay, Mel.
What?
Do you want to talk about our guest today?
Yes, I'm really excited because we have a special guest. Everyone's a special guest, right?
I know. We're like, oh, we're so excited about this guest. And we're so excited about this guest. Like, every guest is like, yes.
But it's so true. It's so genuine. I am excited about it because, Anita, you and I are pretty vomitous with talking about our experiences. And we do not have any boundaries, right? And so it's always interesting for me to meet people that are not vomitous and that they are a little bit more private. Our next guest is more private and reserved with sharing her experiences, and she hasn't talked about them very much, and we are just really proud of her for sharing her experience on our podcast to the world. And her whole reason is because she wanted to help others. So stay tuned for Jennifer Steele.
She sounds kind of like a badass.
I mean, that's a pretty amazing name as well.
It's pretty amazing.
It's true. Okay.
I'm Anita.
I'm Mel.
We're two young widows trying to figure out
what do we do now? I know what do I do now.
Southern. What do you do now?
Chef Boyardee, keto style.
Sometimes we assume that unless we had a huge life insurance payout, we don't really need to know anything about investments or even finances. But guess what? A little knowledge of finances is critical for all of us. Maybe your partner was in charge of that stuff, and now you find yourself making all the decisions. Maybe you're mad about that. Maybe I am. Nicole from the He's Gone But the Money's Not podcast is here to help. She tackles financial literacy by telling the stories of women and widows and finance experts, and shares the lessons they've learned as certified financial planners. Whether you know a lot and feel confident in your financial decisions or feel unsure about all of that stuff, there is more to learn. Listen and subscribe to the He's Gone But the Money's Not podcast on all podcast platforms. This ad was paid for by Rockhouse Financial, an SEC registered investment advisor. Hey, Mel.
What?
I'm wondering how your counseling is going with BetterHelp. How is it going?
Going really well. I love my therapist. We're working on things to help me through grief things, past things, current things. Really helpful. I'm really glad that I am a part of it, and it's been really awesome to have her available on video.
Yeah, it seems super convenient.
Yeah, and she messages me during the week and checks on how I'm doing, and it's awesome.
That's awesome. Do you think that our listeners might benefit from doing it too, if they have some therapy needs?
I do. I think that it would be beneficial for anybody, even if they are not widows, but especially widows, and especially during this time of quarantine / pandemic / riots / everybody hates each other. So, yeah, I think it's a really beneficial thing, and it's a great price, too, when compared to traditional therapy.
That's awesome. Okay, so if people want to take advantage of the 10% off the first month, they go to trybetterhelp.com, and that's help as in HELP.
Like the Beatles song.
Yeah, /WWDN. So trybetterhelp.com/WWDN.
Just remember, the service is available for clients worldwide. You can log into your account anytime and send a message to your counselor. It's more affordable than offline traditional counseling, and financial aid is available. So for those of you who may be in bad situations because your husband died, or just because you're a human living on the planet and that's a tough thing, BetterHelp can help you with financial solutions so that you can get the therapy that you need. And just a reminder as well, this is not a crisis line or self-help. It's professional counseling done securely online. And once you sign up, you will be matched with a counselor within 24 hours. And again, that is trybetterhelp.com/WWDN. Happy widowing! Okay, Anita, guess what?
What?
We have another Australian friend, so there's a chance that you will be playing the Australian national anthem.
This is terrible news.
I know.
It's terrible news.
So our next guest is one of our listeners, and she reached out to us and agreed to share her story. And we are welcoming Jennifer Steele to the podcast. Jennifer, hello.
Hi, Anita and Mel.
Now, it's like 4 o'clock for us in the afternoon on a Wednesday. What time is it there for you?
It's about 8 o'clock in the morning
Wow.
On a Thursday, right?
on a Thursday.
I don't...
Who even knows what days mean anymore? There's no such thing as days.
I know. Between coronavirus and widow brain, I think we're screwed.
Yeah.
Absolutely. My daughter's getting ready all by herself this morning.
Now, how old is your daughter?
I have 3 children. I got a 24-year-old, a 20-year-old, and she's just about to turn 11.
Oh, you have a big gap there.
I have a huge gap.
Yeah, you have 2 different families almost.
So, Jennifer, where in Australia are you joining us from?
New South Wales on the Central Coast.
All right. Anita, your brain looks like it's thinking.
It was. I was trying to be like, where do I know where that is? Isn't New South Wales where all the fires were?
Yeah.
Yeah. So how did that go for you? I'm sure that was fabulous.
It was an absolutely scary part of my journey that,
Ooh.
you know, we
Yeah.
had to go through. They didn't come too close to exactly where I live, but we were on the catastrophic list that we had to pack an emergency bag. And I'll get to my story later, but to do this story, I had to also decide to pack my husband.
Oh my gosh.
What?
Okay.
Okay.
Well,
we should back up.
let's back up
and
first.
start from the beginning so we can get to that story. And
Yeah, we would love to hear a little bit about you and about your husband and your story. So let's start out with that.
Okay, well, we'll start on how we met. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
I met my husband when I was 21. At the time, I was a single mum. Yes, I was a very young mum.
Wow.
He was only 8 weeks old when I left his real father. So, yeah, at the time, he was about 16 months of age when I decided to put myself out there again. I decided a dating company, not a website, because there was no such thing as websites.
And what year was this? How long ago was this?
Oh, now you're asking me.
I know, sorry. Sorry for math questions.
Yeah, it was a math question about 22 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah. So I thought that would be the safest way to go about it. So, you know, you had to go into the office, you had to tell them who you are, a little bit about yourself and what you were looking for. As you know, you have no clue what you're doing. So my main rules were that they had to accept me being a little bit independent and that I came as a package deal.
Right.
Pretty much it. And he phoned me at least 3 weeks later and it went from there.
So that's like a Will Smith movie, isn't it? Isn't there a movie about that? And like they actually went to the dating service, right?
Yeah.
Maybe it wasn't
Yeah,
Will
I
Smith.
remember that.
Yeah, wasn't he like the matchmaker? I don't remember. I'm sure we'll think
Oh,
you know that movie.
It was a very exciting first blind date, I tell you.
So somebody at the agency connected you to. Is that how it would work?
Yeah, exactly how it worked.
was it called just Harmony? Because now there's eHarmony. So it was just Harmony?
No,
Paper Harmony?
I have no clue. I don't remember what it's called. Sorry, girl.
Sorry, we're getting you off track.
I know, sorry.
We do that.
We're just so intrigued. This is so interesting. Okay.
Okay,
So you met, blind date. Go ahead.
go.
yeah, a blind date, and then it just went from there, and yeah, it was really good.
What did you guys do on your first date? Do you remember?
Absolutely, do I remember?
Woo! Tell us.
The he picked me up in his bright yellow Tirana V8 at the corner on a service station, and we actually went rollerblading, like roller skating.
No way. That's so fun.
Yeah. I made him go because I thought, public being in, in the public was very, very safe, and it was absolutely hilarious because he had no idea how to skate.
It's funny.
And how old was he at the time? And you were 21, right? At that time?
I was 21 and he was 27. And the funny story was when I went to the dating agency, I had this age in my mind that I wouldn't go above the age of 25. So I was really hesitant at first. So I thought, there's no harm. And I'm glad I did.
So he was the first date that you went on through the agency, and he didn't fulfill your criteria initially, and it ended up being the exact right match for you, right?
Exactly.
Wow.
So what is his name?
Oh, sorry. Warren.
Warren. Cool. Okay.
Yeah.
So you went on your blind date, and then where did it go from there? I mean, I know we kind of know, but
Yeah, you kind of.
tell us the story. Yeah. Obviously, you're on our podcast, so we know.
Very, very early on in the relationship, he told me exactly what he wanted. He said, by the time I'm 30, I want my own house and a child of my own. So it was a huge relief, in a sense, to know that that's what he wanted in life. So by the time I was 24, we had our first child, and it was only 4 days after his 30th birthday that I had her.
Man, you guys were just hitting the marks.
Yeah. And when she was 6 months old, we brought our first home.
I would like to say you were living the American dream, except for you live in Australia.
I know.
So.
And Jennifer, what did Warren do for a living?
When I first met him, he was a fitter and turner. So,
What is that?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how to describe to you girls. Say that you needed a part for your engine. He would get on a lathe and make that to precision.
I would think that was a machinist. I think that's what we would call it here. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what he did. He was a fitter and turner by trade.
Okay, cool.
So you're living your life. Everything's good. You're living the American Australian dream in Australia. And you have 2 kids at this point. So where did your life take you after you have your kid that you already had and then the one that you had with Warren?
Stay-at-home mum. Yeah, that was really important, but to both of us, that at least one of us stayed at home for the kids and one of us went to work. But within our story, there was a time there where he got laid off because his company failed. So he challenged me. He said, if you can get a full-time job before me, I'll trade you. So I started my journey being a nurse. Yeah, so it was my passion to look after people. So I followed that, and I'm still a carer to this day.
Did you already have a nursing certificate or a nursing degree, or did you get one at that point?
I got one at that point.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And started in a nursing home in high care. And then our third daughter came along and I stopped working again to look after her.
I don't know if you feel this way, but sometimes I feel this way, like, phew, I'm so glad that I had a marketable skill before my husband died, because the stress of them dying and just being at home and then trying to figure out your life after that would have been really awful. Did you feel like that?
Absolutely. I was grateful for that chance, but we should go back to the lead up to his passing.
Yeah, go ahead.
So he got injured at work. He was in pain pretty much 24/7 by the end of it. We finally found out that he had 3 bulging discs in his neck, and he had to fight all the way for any treatment for 4 years through his company.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, it was very difficult to watch him suffer with his pain and everything else, as you can imagine, that goes with that. So I started to work again because he couldn't. And then that's how I came back into nursing, but I chose to do home care because I thought it was more personal. You can pick your hours, you can fit it around your family life, and it's just so suit us so much better. He finally ended up getting cortisone injections that seemed to ease the pain just a little. He was told by his specialist eventually that he was confident that an operation would give him as much relief as the injections gave him, and told him that it would be the best way to go. But he had to get approval from his company. I can't mention the company's name for obvious reasons.
Mm-hmm.
It was a huge fight for 4 years to get even this far. So his company again sent him to their own independent doctor, and only 1 week before he passed, they denied his surgery. So basically he was told they thought it was too risky and that he had to put up with the pain.
Just for the rest of his life, just live in chronic pain. And that is so hard. Oh, man.
It was really, really, really difficult to navigate through that.
Yeah. That is it. It just takes the wind right out of your sails to think that maybe there's a solution, and then to have that kind of ripped away from you and say, oh, guess what? Nope, you just get to live like this forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Forever.
Yeah.
And to go on top of all of that, I've got one weird thing to share, if that's okay.
Sure.
We love weird. Please.
Well, I actually had a very, very, very vivid dream about him dying before it happened.
What?
Wow.
Yeah. I even knew the month.
Holy cow.
I was really, really close to even the date, but I ignored it. I thought, no way, it's just not how, like, there's no way you can imagine, like, your dreams or feelings would be true.
Yeah.
So, for me, it was really difficult.
So, Jennifer, I have a question. When you woke up from that dream, did you think that it was just like a random dream? You know, our brains do so many weird things. Like, we have thoughts rolling around, or like we don't have those thoughts rolling around, and then they can manifest in our dreams. Like, when you woke up, were you like, okay, that could happen maybe, but that was just a dream, I'll brush it off? Or what were your feelings?
I tried so hard to brush it off. But looking back now, I've had vivid dreams throughout my life. And there's been a few times where it's actually happened. So it was so hard for me to brush it off.
So how close was this dream to when he actually died?
That's what I was trying to remember, and I honestly don't remember how soon it was. But yeah.
Oh man.
Wow.
It was tough. But even though he died very, very, very suddenly, he died from an undiagnosed heart disease. It was, a shock.
Now, where was he at your home when he died, or can you walk us through a little of that?
As you know, he was in pain all the time, so he found it more comfortable. We set up a little bed in the lounge room for him because he just found it more comfortable and to be present, within the family. So yes, I woke up to get ready for work and I found him.
Holy cow.
Holy cow. Yeah, I'm working in a nursing home. You think I'd be okay because I had dealt with end of life and the deceased. But as you can imagine, it was totally, absolutely different. It was a whole roller coaster of emotions. But the most prominent emotion was anger because my brain automatically assumed that he had accidentally, unintentionally overdosed.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
And our children were here at home. The oldest one was 18 at the time, and my youngest one was 9. And I was only 42, but it was only 1 week before my 43rd birthday.
That is so rude.
So rude.
Warren, you're in trouble.
Yeah. You guys can tell your husband to kick him
in the
arse.
shins. Yeah,
That's Jason's
for sure.
job.
That's
since
Jason's job, to kick people in the shins.
Yeah.
Jennifer, how long ago was this?
About 13 months, almost 14 months
okay.
ago.
So a little over a year.
Yeah, a little over a year.
I assume that it's just like most people in that they had an autopsy and you had to wait however long to get the results of that. So in the beginning, you were thinking that maybe he had taken too much pain medication and you had to wait to find out whether or not that was the case. And that's when you were feeling a lot of anger. Do I have that right?
Exactly right.
Okay.
But the hardest part about it was like we were very, quiet, and it was very, very difficult for me to have so many police, ambulance, the coroner, the people who took the photos, that it was basically designated as a crime scene.
You're living like a true crime nightmare.
It was, yeah.
For real.
It was very, very true crime nightmare.
That's always scary too because they always look at the spouse first, right? Because their way is working like out from like the most familiar people. So did they treat you kindly with their questioning?
One officer treated me kindly, one officer not so much. He was very monotone. He was very hard to read and he was a bit standoffish. But one thing looking back I'm grateful for is that they offered me a pastor from the ambulance officers. Even though I'm not a Christian or have many beliefs about that side of stuff, I thought that would be the best way to not only help myself but help my children.
Your children are home, so they were there on all of this madness, right? Like cops and ambulances and all that stuff. What was their reaction to all of that? I mean, that's so much for anyone to deal with, but especially like kids.
It was extremely hard because the oldest one at the time, I was so determined not for them to see, which my youngest one gladly appreciated and stuck to. However, my 18-year-old had to step up because I was a mess. She had to step up. So she was the one who rang the ambulance because in between all my, I call them people, in my, I rotated between lots of different people at that day, from the angry mum to the mama bear mum and to the caring mum and the freak out mum. And yeah, so the eldest one actually witnessed pretty much everything along with me, which was really, really difficult.
Wow. Have you and she done counseling to work through those traumatic memories?
We have, but we've done it separately, not together. I didn't know the COVID. It just never worked out that we could do it together. But I've been lucky that I've still been able to do counselling via phone when I need it.
Have you found it to be helpful? Have you found that it has lessened the traumatic manifestation for you? And do you think it's been helpful for your daughter? Or is it still pretty fresh and raw? It sounds like it's still pretty fresh. It's still pretty raw for you.
How do I say? It's easier to not think about it, as you can probably identify with. So
yeah, I mean, and Anita and I always talk about how we question ourselves. Are we sociopaths? Because sometimes we have no feelings, and then sometimes we have all the feelings. And as you also went through the same sort of shock that we did, where it's like they're here one day and then they're gone the next with no warning. And so shock does such a number on the brain. It affects your memory, it affects all sorts of things, and your brain's trying to process stuff and it can't sort it out. And so do your brains just feel like they've been jiggled around? And that's how I feel still.
I feel like a paint can being shaken around.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, she even rang work and told them, because I had to work that day. I had to work that day at 8 o'clock. I had to start at 8. She rang work and said, "There's been a family emergency. She won't be in today."
Man, that is a hard call to make. She totally wins an award.
She wins an award for keeping it together. Yeah.
She kept it together. I didn't.
That was good of her to step up and do it.
How did everything go with the funeral? Did you have a funeral, or did you tell us about it? Did he get buried or cremated, or what was that like?
Well, my first initial was like, shit, I have to phone his parents. And as you can imagine, that was one of the most difficult conversations I've ever had to have. And they live 4-hour drive away. So they packed up and came pretty much as soon as they could. And then I rang my mum, which she lives 1 hour away, because she was, the closest one. She was obviously here first. She actually helped with the police and the coroner and all those other people, because I was just stomping around and being angry and
throwing things and yelling at things and crying and then laughing. And
then I rang my sister, who lives 13-hour drive away.
Whoa.
Everybody lives forever away in Australia. You guys.
In that case, that my sister and his parents both came to me, and they stayed with us for the first 3 weeks. I felt kind of obligated to get his parents' input on absolutely everything.
I felt like that too, Jennifer. It's like, it's such a big decision. All those little things that are big things when somebody dies, like, you want to be sensitive to everybody because that person meant something to everybody, right? And so you want to do things the right way and be sensitive and get an agreement on things.
Yeah.
And that's also something that you don't even think you're going to ever talk about, because your husband's not supposed to die. Like, how old was Warren when he died?
He was 48.
You're not supposed to die before 48, right? Like, maybe like 98.
No, not at all. Like, he didn't even have a will.
Yeah, sounds like us. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and absolutely everything. I mean, everything except my car was in his name.
Oh, wow. Yeah, what did you run into as far as those things go? Did you have a lot of trouble?
So much trouble. His parents helped me with all the funeral arrangements. We ended up, as you know, because I kind of said it very early on, we decided on cremating him, and yes, we had a funeral. but they helped me with all of that, like, you know, doing absolutely pretty much everything. I just had to basically show up.
I have a question for you, and maybe you know the answer and maybe you don't. Is it more common in Australia for people to be buried or cremated? Or is it kind of like here where it's kind of a little of each?
It's a little of each. I think it's personal preference, and it's not one of those things that unfortunately me and my husband had never talked about. So it was even a hard decision to make. And I still question myself if that was the right decision, because he's still here. He's in my china cabinet
With all the tchotchkes.
with all the dust collectors,
with grandma's dishes and little figurines, right? Like, part of me wishes that I had some of Scott to put in a can and put in my cabinet, but we didn't.
Yeah.
What?
And
no.
Oh my gosh. My dad keeps
your
calling
dad,
me,
he wants to
guys.
Skype you.
My dad. He does, and he doesn't text, so I can't just like be like, stop calling me. This is the third time, and I'm on Do Not Disturb, but oh my gosh, I wonder what he needs. He's a funny guy.
So you had the funeral, and you had great support from your in-laws, which is great. How did your kids handle? I mean, it's so jostling and so horrible. How did they do? Like, in the first few weeks, like you said you had the in-laws at your place, right? And your mom. So you had a lot of help. What did they help you with?
Oh, basically just my sister. She helped me with getting all the paperwork that we needed together, you know, for superannuation, and, you know, all the documents that we would require. She made all the phone calls to, you know, stop everything. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So she helped with all that paperwork and hard stuff. His parents helped me with the funeral and all the decisions on how to move forward and what to do.
Did you feel like it was so weird to make such big final decisions so quickly? It's so bizarre, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, I kind of felt a little pressured because, you know, they lived such a long way, far away from me, 4-hour drive. And it felt like they were trying to rush it through so they could get back home, which I understand now, because, you know, they live on a big property with chickens and a garden and their own responsibilities they have to do.
Yeah, that was really nice that they were able to come and help you. So, Anita, is your dad okay?
I don't know. I texted my mom and I was like, do you know why dad keeps calling me? And she's like, no, but I'll call him and tell him to stop.
Okay, good. Okay, good. So nobody's dead as far as we know.
That we know of, yeah. He's probably calling to tell me something like, hey, I got some wood for a project.
He'd be like, let me teach you how to text.
Oh, that will be the day. It will never happen.
Oh my gosh.
Once I got a text from him, and I sent a text to my whole family because it was like, you know how if you hit enter on your text, it like just kind of grows longer. So it was like, return, 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 L, return, and that's what I got. And I was like, Dad.
Oh my gosh.
It was funny. Okay, I'm sorry.
So what has your journey been like, Jennifer, since all this has happened? So he passed away. As we know, it's so helpful to have support, which you had in the house. But then when the support goes away, it's like real life settles in and it's easy to kind of sink. How's it been?
Oh, yes. It's been really, really tough to be everybody all at once. I chose to go back to work only 8 weeks after his passing. I felt like, hello, we still need an income here.
Dang it! That's the most annoying part of life.
Dang it.
Right?
So, yeah, and that was very difficult to go back because one of my clients, who is a very, very good regular, kept ringing work and saying, "Where's Jennifer? Is she okay?" And work decided to tell him what had happened. And it was really difficult for me because I didn't even put a death notice in the paper.
Wow.
You know, I didn't want people to know. I didn't want people to pity me or, you know, model coddle me, or, do you know what I mean? I didn't want a bar of it. So it was really difficult.
It's hard when someone else shares your news. Yeah. So, when you went back to work, did you then see that client, and did it make it even harder?
It did make it harder, but he also treated me normal. You know, it was like, "How are you today?" I said, "Well, I said, one day at a time. I'm just basically trying to get back into my work at the moment, not comfortable about talking about anything." And we moved on from that, and it just went back to, like, you know, normal conversations about normal plain Jane things, which was helpful. And then my second client, who was also super regular, my first going back to her, she goes, "Oh, where have you been, stranger?" Because she had no idea. And I said, "Oh, I just went on a little holiday."
Oh.
And I left, and yeah, and I left it at that. And I actually broke down after my visit with her because I wasn't true to myself. I put on this huge front. That everything was normal, everything was okay.
I don't know how you did that.
And yeah, it was really difficult, but it was something I thought I needed to do to get through the day.
Did you ever tell her the truth?
I actually rang work
And asked them to tell her?
and told them the situation, that I felt very untrue, like I had lied to her, and how difficult that was for me. And yeah, they ended up telling her. It was, again, you know, just treat me normal is all I wanted people to do.
That's so interesting because I feel like, have you seen the movie Alien, where like the alien like breaks out of that guy's stomach? I feel like that's how I
Yeah.
am all the time. Like when I meet new people, like I feel like there's like this information that's like trying to get out, and I like can't. I'm like, you know, stay inside. But I just want to be like, my husband died. You know, like every time, you know, I work in healthcare too. Every time I have a new patient, like, and I start working with them, I just feel like there's this like, when is it going to happen? When is it going to come up? When am I going to have to be like, and by the way, my husband died, you know? And it's like this thing that I can just barely contain. So I think it's interesting that you had the desire to kind of keep it close, where I feel like I can't help it escaping, can't hold it back.
Well, and Anita, you guys both have clients or patients, and so you both have similar experience in like going back to work after all this has happened. Remind us what your experience was like. I don't remember if we've talked about it on this or not.
Well, I'll tell you a funny one. And that I had this one patient who I was seeing at the time, and when Jason died, I just texted somebody at work and I just said, bye. You know, I was like, you got to figure this out. I'm out, you know. So they got a hold of my patients and just told them that I wasn't able to see him, and they did not tell them why. But one of my patients, in her own mind, decided that I had moved to Germany. So she was like, yeah, that's just what she decided.
Why Germany?
I have no idea. She was,
because you really like sauerbraten.
Nuts. So anyway, that's kind of a joke that like I moved to Germany, and I haven't seen her since because I don't know where she ended up, but I'm in Germany, so I'm not available to take care of her anymore.
I'm starting to get more comfortable with kind of telling people now. I've just received a new client, and she became a a widow when she was only 20.
Oh, wow.
She was only married for 5 months with her husband, with a baby on the way. So it's more comfortable to be with her.
Yeah.
Because we can kind of, you kind of know, but you kind of don't talk about it either, but it's more comfortable.
Yes.
There's just something that's like more comfortable about being, I mean, we're around people that have not had the death of a spouse that we're comfortable with, but there is a sort of kinship with people that have gone through something so traumatic that if you're not okay and you're around them, they probably know why you're not okay. And they just, I don't know. I feel like that with Anita. Like even today when we got on our Zoom call first, I was all stressed out before. And then there's Anita and I'm like, everything's fine. Even though like our lives are weird and crazy. I don't know what it is. There's just something.
I'm just a soothing German person.
You're such a soothing German person. And sauerbraten is my favorite German dish. So please make me some.
I don't know if I've ever had sauerbraten. I hate to say that to you.
It's so good. It's pot roast, basically, but with a good sauce.
I like that. Okay.
Sorry, Jennifer. Welcome to our like, shenanigans.
Oh, good.
Oh, man. What have you been doing? So I know you have a lot to deal with because you are working full-time, right? Or is it full-time that you're working?
A casual, but to me it's full-time. And my hours did drop significantly when the COVID business started, because one of my clients, who's extremely regular, like 3 days a week, she lives in a nursing home hostel. So, no in, no out, no visits. So a lot of my hours reduced a lot. And I had to really push work to actually let me just talk to her on the phone to keep that connection open.
Yeah.
So we came to the conclusion that, because you've got to respect your boundaries. So we came to the conclusion I would call her on the hostel's iPad through Messenger, so we still could have that face-to-face.
That's really sweet of you, actually, because I feel like a lot of those people, just all human contact got, cut. So that's rough.
I felt it was necessary to keep that opened.
And you mentioned something about the fires.
Yeah,
and
I know. I want to hear that story.
I'm so curious. Please tell us.
Yes, well, as catastrophic, you had to pack your little emergency kits, and as you know, we decided to cremate my husband, and he was in the china cabinet in a little box, and I'm going around the house getting all the paperwork, getting clothes and toilet paper and whatever else, and I had to make a decision: do I pack my husband? And it was really, it was hard, but not hard at the same time. It's like, I don't want to lose him again, so I have to pack him.
Did he have his own bag for himself?
Yeah, you should have packed an emergency kit for him. Yes, him. With all of the things he needs.
All the things he needs. Yeah, I had him packed in a big box full of everything else that we needed.
Wow. That's a horrible experience, actually.
Yep. I even took him to work because I had to work that day. But I didn't tell anybody because I thought that was weird.
Yeah.
And no one would actually really understand, which is unfortunate because, I did question myself, and I did ask the little mums group I had at the school, because only a few of them actually knew what had happened, because as I said, I'm pretty private, and I said I just don't know what to do. I don't know whether to pack my husband in or not. And one of them said, I wish I didn't have to take mine. And that was the end of the conversation. I didn't want to speak or say anything more. It was just like, are you effing kidding me? There's my slang, effing kidding me.
I think she should still get a duck noise with that, Mel, because I like the duck noise.
Okay, I'll insert duck noise here.
Yeah. So, yeah, and unfortunately, I don't really talk to that mum group anymore, especially with the COVID. Yeah.
That's so hard because people, I mean, that's human nature to complain about whatever you have to complain about. And so people complain about their husbands all the time, right? And it's so hard not to throat punch people, but to try and like give them some grace that in their sphere, what they're dealing with is what they're dealing with. And it's a trial for them. And maybe, I don't know, some people do deserve to complain about their husbands.
Yeah.
And my 3-year-old is pounding on the door.
No, I get it. Like, you know, you love, as much as you love your husband, you would love to hate him as well sometimes.
It's just too bad he's not here to hate, right?
I know, right?
Yeah.
It's sucky.
Yeah. And so, Jennifer, have you found, I know that you are in our widow support group. Have you found some support in Australia where you have met other widows that are in your area, or other online groups that have been helping you?
I'm more on reading. I have got groups. I'm more of like reading the posts and reading their stories and reading their pain and their discomfort, but I don't tend to put it out there myself.
And I just want to say, obviously you've told us you're a private person and you agreed to share your story with us, and that's a big deal. So thank you so much. I know that's hard.
I thought it would not only help me, but maybe help someone else too, because my story is completely different to all the other widow stories you've had so far.
Yeah, definitely. And I can't believe that he didn't get approved for the surgery, and then he's dead the next week of something that's not related to the accident, right? Like, that's so weird and awful.
I wanted to sue the pants off them.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. I think that's a natural response to that.
There are so many emotions that come with the unknown too, because it's like, you don't know, but you have emotion. And so where do you direct it? Like, you're waiting for an autopsy. So like, you want to be mad at that because you're like, I know that's what it is. And then it comes back that that's not. So that's like a whole other brain shift, right? Where you have to like come to terms with, wait, he had this underlying heart thing and we didn't know about it. And then he died from it. What?
Yep. And 3 weeks later, I had to put his dog to sleep on top of.
That's just rude.
It's rude, yeah. We end up finding he had bone cancer.
Oh.
So
poor puppy.
He was actually put to sleep on my husband's birthday.
Oh gosh.
Oh.
Yeah.
There's almost something poetic about that though. Like tragic, like it belongs in Shakespeare tragedy, you know.
It was my birthday. It was my birthday gift to him.
Oh, so the dog was your birthday gift to your husband, and then the dog had to be put down on your husband's birthday after your husband died.
Well, she was delivering the dog back to her husband so that he could have him or her in the afterlife.
Did I tell you guys? I had a dog death situation after my husband died. I had a pug that was 14 years old, and when they're 14, they're like kind of going downhill. And when my husband died, the pug got new life again. It was like she was like 3 years old, running around and like, whatever, I'm a pug, yeah, snorting and stuff. And then 6 months to Scott's death day came, and 6 months and 1 day after, dead. It was like she was given this like life pass for only 6 months, and then on 6 months and 1 day, gone. So, shoot, that's so hard to lose a pet too.
That dog made a deal with the devil or something.
Yeah, I had so many firsts in such a short time after his passing. You know, I had my birthday, and then I had his birthday, and then I had our first daughter's birthday, and then we had our wedding anniversary, and then we had, you know, my second daughter's birthday, all in a space of 2 months.
Whoa. It's like a bunch of punches to your gut, right?
Oh, it was a nightmare.
It's so much to process.
The first year around wasn't much better. Being that, yeah.
I've heard people say in some of the groups that we're in that the first year it is hard and the second year is harder. Now, my second year was not harder, and you're just, 13 months into this, Jennifer?
Yeah.
So you're going to have to let us know how the second year goes. So maybe we will have you back on after that.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I mean, you've had a whole rough go of it, but we really appreciate you talking with us. So thank you.
Thank you for having me.
I appreciate you coming on here because for most of our guests, I feel like it's been very natural and it has felt comfortable for them to talk about it. And I think it's been more of a stretch for you. I think it's been more difficult for you. And so it's almost like it counts more for you. The other people, and like for us, we just blab, 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 blab. But
Blah, blah, blah.
since you're a little more quiet, a little more private, it's like this probably took real guts. And so I appreciate that you're willing to do that, and for the purpose of helping somebody else, you know, not for self-aggrandizement, but to just
Anita's child.
Sorry, I'm yelling at my kids. Go out the door.
I love that they like come in when it's like a super serious, sad moment. Sorry, everyone.
No, I don't know. After dinner.
My daughter's excited that she'll be late for school.
Oh, thank us.
Hey,
daughter.
Yeah.
We're here to help you. I'm all for getting out of school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll be very busy today. I've got to actually bake her birthday cake today.
Oh, is
it her birthday today?
Her birthday's on Saturday. I've got to work all day Friday.
Is this going to be a fancy cake, or is this going to be like, are you a cake decorator?
I have dabbled in cake decorating. I wouldn't say that I'm absolutely fantastic, but I'm not that half bad either.
That's cool. Kate, we want a picture of the birthday cake. Will you send us one?
Yeah, and I'll send you some previous ones prior that I've done before. This time around, I'm attempting a cake that resembles a fox.
Oh, we need to see it.
That's cool. It was just one of my son's birthdays, and he comes into my bedroom and he's like, Mom, what I want a Death Star cake. And I was like, okay, I'm not making you a Death Star cake. And he's like, okay, well then just make me a TIE Fighter cake. He's been super into Star Wars lately. So what he ended up getting was a tiny cake from the grocery store that had hamburgers and hot dogs on top of it. I was like, this is what you get. I'm not making a Death Star cake.
Were they gummy hamburgers and hot dogs? Because that sounds disgusting.
No, but they love those. They were like those rings. So they're just like little plastic things.
It wasn't like
and then you
actual
take them
pieces
off
of hot dogs
rings.
and actual pieces of ham.
No. It was like a decoration of, I don't know. It was like a barbecue cake, but it was what they had at the grocery store.
It sounds festive. Oh my gosh.
I know.
We're so grateful that we had you on here, and thank you for reaching out and being willing to share your story.
Yeah, but as I said, I thought it would not only help me, but in hope that somebody else who is struggling might help them too.
So anybody that's listening, Jennifer is in our Widow Wives group, so feel free to reach out to her and tell her thank you for sharing her story. And I think it's really interesting how far things like this can spread, because we just think, oh, we're here recording like on our computers and whatever, and it's just us three, right? But then other people hear it, and then you find that it's been inspiration to a lot of people or given courage to somebody. So good job for being brave.
I found you guys when I was only 9 months into my journey.
I'm glad that it's been helping you, so thank you. Thanks for your support. We have gotten a couple messages from you, and so it helps us to know that we are helping others, so we appreciate you.
And it's worth the time.
Yeah,
effort
especially when...
For Mel, Whose thumb is going to fall off from editing.
I know. Sometimes I have trigger finger and then sometimes I have tendonitis because I'm like, edit. But it's fine. Who cares? I'm alive. It's fine.
Thanks for joining us today as we talk to Jennifer from Australia and listen to some of her crazy story, especially the part about the fires. And we're just grateful that she was willing to share her story. Join us next time. Remember to leave a rating and a review, and also to join the Widow Wives Club if you're a widow or a widower.
And
remember to post your widow wins when you have them, whether they're big or big and small at the same time. I'm Anita.
I'm Mel.
I'm Jennifer.
And we're just 3 widows trying to figure out widow we do now.
Now.
Yeah.
Thank
and
you,
now
Jennifer.
You've seen how hard it is to do it together on the internet.
That's why it's always like,
This is my favorite thing to discuss with you.
Tell me, what is it?
One of my favorite things. I do enjoy tacos and cheese and dogs. This is about how you cannot pay hundreds and hundreds of dollars for a phone plan, especially when you're a widow, your person is dead, you might have kids, you might need another option, and you just want your phone to work, you want unlimited texting and service, and you want it to be like $25 a month.
It blows my mind that they have plans that start at $15 a month. That is so cheap. And the cool thing is it uses other 5G networks, and so you don't have to pay extra for that, and you still get great service.
Yep, Anita and I have traveled all over, and I have used my phone. So I highly recommend it, and my mom's even on it. When my dad died, we put his phone down to the cheapest plan, which is $15 a month. And I think my mom's on the $20 a month plan, and it's so worth it. It's so much cheaper than what we were all paying before. So I highly recommend it if you're on a budget or not. Who cares? Ryan Reynolds is in charge of the company, and they send you free stickers with Ryan Reynolds temporary tattoos. It's kind of the best. So if somebody wants to sign up, what can they do, Anita?
Go to trymintmobile.com/WWDN. Seriously, you guys, such a great idea. Save yourself some money.
And if you're worried about losing data or having any changes with your phone, not going to happen. They walk you through it. Everything's fine. It's the easiest process of all time. Again, that's
trymintmobile.com/WWDN.